Friends, we were discussing about the digital payment system introduced by Government of India in terms of e-rupee. So we were discussing that how without internet connection e-rupee can work in various distant locations in which people with having smartphones can deliver the money and do transactions whenever needed. So the various indexes that capture the payment across the country includes payment enables, which weight 25%, then payment infrastructure demand side factor 10%, payment infrastructure supply side factor 15%, payment performance 45%, consumer centricity 5%, and the index, that is digital payment index, raised from 0.100 to 304.06 in the September 2021. Digital payment index of RBI. So we will look into this, how digital payment of RBI has shown the progress. So payment enablers that include internet, mobile facility, Aadhaar, bank account, participant and merchants, payment infrastructure demand side, debit card, credit card, prepaid payment instrument, consumer registration, fast track. We have studied in 2016 economy survey that there was a Bapu Jam system which started the enabling of payment and payment infrastructure by Government of India, that was biometrically authenticated program update Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile. So there was Jan Dhan Aadhaar account linked with the biometric authentication, and that was used with Aadhaar linkage and this bank account. So this facility was taken by the Government of India for various sectors. It also include debit card, credit card, prepaid, postpaid payment, fast tracks. Payment infrastructure in supply side include bank branches, business correspondence, ATM, point of sale terminals, QR code, intermediaries. Payment performance in terms of digital payment system, digital payment value, unique users, paper cleaning, currency in circulation and cash withdrawal. Then consumer centricity, awareness and education, declines, complaints, frauds and system downtime. These all parameters include the RBI payment index, which shows how digital payments are made in the market in order to cater the needs of the consumers, in order to prevail the various sectors of economy to provide more and more consumption. Now, non-banking financial companies. Total credit of the NBFC sector increased marginally this year. So due to pandemic and lockdown situation, the marginal increase was seen, and NBFC credit ratio of GDP has been constantly stood at 13.7 at end of the March 2021, and industry remained the largest recipient, followed by retail loans and services. Now, bank exposure to non-banking financial companies. So earlier we saw that there was IL&FS crisis, in which there were failure of huge bulk of capital by non-banking financial companies, which led to huge surplus flow by Government of India. So in this we saw that how exposure to NBFC with non-convertible debentures and commercial paper, external liabilities with NBFC has sharply increased, but borrowing from the other financial institution increased marginally. So NBFC का borrowing क्या हुआ, sharply increased हुआ, but other sectors saw declining tendency. Now, as against the regulatory requirement of 15%, CRAR for the NBFC sector stood at 26.64%. So 26.6% of CRAR at the end of September 2021. Now, development of capital market. Capital market in terms of primary market, where IPO is launched in order to purchase a share, bear and bull situation arises. So how equity flows? Equity fund raised through the Equity issued by the diverse modes such as public offerings. So equity कैसे कैसे बढ़ाई जा रही है friends? By public offerings, then rights, then QIP and preferential issues. And there has been a stupendous rise of 504% in the fund mobilization of IPO. So IPO की सबसे ज़्यादा फंड मोबिलाइजेशन इंडिया में हुई है 504.5%. Remember this data for your prelims as well as mains point of view by listing of 75 companies. Amount raised through rights issued and qualified institutional placements, which has declined through the preferential allotment, increased sharply. So QIP decline किया, दो preferential arrangement rise किए गए हैं. This year has been an exceptional for the primary markets with the boom in fund rights raising through IPO may have new age company tech startup, यानी कि despite COVID lockdown tech startup companies or entrepreneurship increased sharply. Now debt, the amount raised through the public issued in the debt doubled, यानी कि debt के द्वारा जो issued amount थे वो doubled हो गए. And whereas the number of issues and amount mobilized through private placement declined. Private placements यानी कि निजी placement निजी कंपनियों के द्वारा declination पे थे. So overall debt mobilization slowed, total mobilization of debt reduced, and this contrast to the equity market suggests an increased appetite for risk among the investor. यानी कि पहले earlier investors were in huge stuff to invest in the economy, but due to this sector of debt mobilization, primary market investor has the risk tendency. यानी कि as there is a less flow of surplus, then there is more and more risk taking investor who are coming into the market to invest more and more. Now new instrument by corporates also diversifying into a large number of new instruments such as hybrid and convertible real estate investment trust. So there is a new concept of hybrid and convertible REITs. So real estate investment trust वैसे फंड प्रोवाइड कर रहे थे जो कि हाइब्रिड इन नेचर थे, इन विच यू कैन परचेज द ट्रस्ट, परचेज सर्टेन शेयर और परचेज द एसेट्स फ्रॉम द सेक्टर, एंड देयर इज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रस्ट इन विट्स. नाउ मॉर्गन स्टैनली कैपिटल इंटरनेशनल MSCI that provide global rating for the companies in share market, especially based in USA. So Morgan Stanley Capital International has a research foundation which deals with the stock index. It covers all the stocks of various countries of the world wherever there is a IPOs are happening. Then it also covers portfolio at risk. The shares which are at risk at different market are covered under portfolio risk. Then there are government tools which are also taken by MSCI. Then last is performance analysis by the share market. Now MSCI also takes the emerging markets index and India VET. One of the most popular MSCI index is MSCI emerging market index. Friends, remember this for your prelims as well as mains. MSCI emerging market index that caters all the economics of the world as well as India. So we will look into the economy survey which provide the growing trend in this scenario, so which takes equity performance capturing large and mid cap companies. कैसी कंपनीज को ये कैटर कर रहा है फ्रेंड्स? लार्ज एंड मिड कैप कंपनीज across 25 emerging market countries including India. Now MSCI launched in 2001. The index today covers 1420 listed entities. So there are 1420 entities हैं और MSCI 2001 में लॉन्च किया गया था by Morgan Stanley Capital and it has companies must satisfy certain minimum criteria relating to full market capitalization, then free floated market capitalization, stock liquidity, and foreign inclusion factor, among others, included in the index. Now, many global institution investors such as which use MSCI EM index and several indices covering other markets and themes as their passive investment strategy, allocating capital in new line with the benchmark indices. So there are Nasdaq Composite Index, then there is Bombay Stock Exchange, then there is SEBI. So all things are also covering under MSCI index, which takes a leap for covering the 25 companies of 1420 listed companies in the global market, which draw the shares of major capital flow in the global market. Now, India's weight in the MSCI EM Emerging Market Index rises due to its role of investment in the equity market and attracting foreign portfolio investment. Remember this point for your mains. So MSCI is saying that bringing the world into focus after the after ending of the pandemic of corona, how the world criteria increasing in terms of economic development around the world, why investors which are investing into various economy which broadening their investment exposures. So in post pandemic situation, the investment is rising. Investment is rising as shown by MSCI index, but the global universe of nearly 30,000 securities, where should investors start? An MSCI index which are based on disciplined approach can help map and categorize the stock markets. Very important. So MSCI index shows in June 2017, announced that beginning of June 2018, China is shared fourth, would be included in MSCI Emerging Market Index in a phased manner. This means that gradual reduction in weights of all other countries. Consequently, India's weights MSCI index reduced from 9.32% in August to 8.3%, यानी कि 9.32% अगस्त के इंडेक्स से ये रिड्यूस करके 8.3% अगस्त 2020 में लाया गया. So it was again not a good scene for Indian economy, but latter phase government relaxed the FCI limit. फिर सरकार ने क्या देखा कि ऐसे तो रिड्यूस हो रही है वैल्यू ऑफ इंडियन इकोनॉमी इन टर्म्स ऑफ शेयर एंड ग्लोबल मार्केट एक्सपोजर, तो उसने क्या किया, एफपीआई लिमिट को ही कम कर दिया, एंड दैट लीड्स टू द एप्लीकेबल ऑफ फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट सेक्टरल लिमिट विच इज हायर विद द इफेक्ट फ्रॉम अप्रैल 1st 2020. रिजल्टेंटली MSCI इंडियाज फॉरेन इंक्लूजन फैक्टर यानी कि FIF क्या हो गया, रोज बाई 7% from 0.39 to 0.42. Accordingly, India's weight in MSCI index mediated increasing to 9.2% from 8%. So again it come back to 9.2% finally. Remember this data for your prelims as well as mains point of view. Now MSCI index is showing the global factors which are controlling the overall scenario of data that are put forward in the capital market in order to boost the investment, in order to create the more viability, more optimism and more opportunity in the market. So it shows that identified eligible equity securities. Equity securities कहाँ पे मिल रही हैं फ्रेंड्स? पहला ordinary and some preferred shares, that shares which are very ordinary in their presence and which are preferred by the consumers to buy and sell, such as Reliance Power के शेयर बहुत ही अच्छे चल रहे हैं तो लोग उसे खरीद लेते हैं. In terms of Tata, so these are the viable shares. Then share equivalents such as American Depository Receipts ADR are also eligible. Then real estate investment trust REIT are also eligible, and which are not eligible, mutual funds नहीं eligible हैं, then export traded funds ETF are not eligible, equity derivatives are not eligible. Remember this for your PT prelims में अक्सर ऐसे क्वेश्चन UPSC पूछ देती है कि excluding this या including this, so you have to eliminate one option. So remember this which are not included. So coming to the next, trends in retail participation of capital market. So MSCI और क्या दिखा रही है, इमर्जिंग मार्केट में कैसे ट्रेंड चल रहे हैं. सो इट इंक्लूड्स द इंडिविजुअल इन सेक्टर. टोटल टर्नओवर एट NSE increased from 1920 due to increased in new investor registration, new investors leading to new startups and MSME growth. So India was showing 9.3% of total growth in a year 2018, and it grew to, or it reduced to 8.30 in 2020 due to COVID pandemic, COVID scenario. China was having 30.94 in 2018 and it grew to 37.40. China again on a rise. तो चाइना में कैसे इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ रहा है, बिकॉज ऑफ द कंट्रोल ऑफ पेंडेमिक सिचुएशन विच वॉज वेरी हेक्टिक ड्यूरिंग द फर्स्ट फेज ऑफ कोरोना, बट इन लैटर फेज वी सी चाइना वॉज ऑल्सो डिक्लाइनिंग.